Hi everybody, this is Jonathan Mueller from the JP Mueller Group, and I wanted to introduce you to the first in my series of videos to explain a project plan template I made for Google Sheets. This first video will talk about the basic template interface, how to make your own copy, how to keep up to date on what's been going on with changes, etc. In subsequent videos, we'll talk about more of the functionality that's within the sheets. So let's start by talking about the general interface, how to understand which version you're on, etc. Up here in our hierarchical column, if I zoom in a little bit, let's see if I can zoom in, you'll see that it has a version number. This set of videos will start with version 7.1. Okay. The first thing you're going to want to notice is that I have filled in a basic project plan. But if you look at the descriptions of all the lines, each line exercises a certain piece of functionality that is enabled through the sheet. So I encourage you to look through these and take a look at what I'm doing in each one of these tasks, and you could see what functionality exists. You could also listen to all these videos and learn about what's on the sheets. First thing you're going to want to do is make a copy for yourself. The copy that I make available to everybody is read-only, so you need to make a copy of your own to start off. And the way you do that is you go to File and make a copy. It's going to ask for a name. So I'm going to put My First Project. And I'm going to save it to my folder. And give that a second to recover. Hit OK. And it's going to create a copy in my Google Drive. So I don't get confused and end up on the wrong sheet, I'm going to go up here and I'm actually going to close the base template that I had open. Okay. The most important thing you got to do to start off is enable the scripts. The scripts are used particularly for when I insert rows. There are a lot of formulas in the spreadsheet, and some of them have to exist in each one of the rows. For example, in the end column, I have this big wonky formula. When I do an insert of a row, you would normally have to remember to copy that formula down to the next row. What the script does is detect when you've inserted a row, and it will copy the formulas down everywhere they need to be, so you don't have to think about that. So it's really important to enable the scripts right off the bat. Now the scripts don't do anything nefarious, and they're perfectly easily for you to check out, read, and verify for yourself that I'm not doing anything that you wouldn't want me to do. And you do that by the same way you go and enable them. So you go to Tools in the menu, go to Script Editor, and it's going to open a second tab here called the Project Plan Functions. And again, you could scroll down here and you could look and see, if you could read code, exactly what I'm doing. But what you need to do, the most important thing, is go to Edit and Current Project's Triggers. And here it'll say no triggers are set up. So we're going to click on that link to set up a trigger. And we only need to set up one trigger. It's an on-change event. So we're going to go drop down under Run. And we're going to look for on-change. We're going to select that. Then we're going to change the time-driven event to a from spreadsheet. And again, in this last drop-down, we're going to choose on-change. We're going to hit Save, and this is going to ask us a few things. It wants to make sure we authorize it. And pay attention to what we do here. It's very important that you do exactly this. We're going to click on Review Permissions, and that's going to pop open a new box that allows me to choose an account. I'm going to choose my Gmail account, and it's going to tell me the app isn't verified. I'm going to click on the Advanced link, and then I'm going to scroll down, and it's going to have this Go to Project Plan Functions link. I'm going to click on that. It brings up another form that asks me if I want to allow the project plan functions to do these things. And I'm going to say Allow. Then you're done. You could close down this tab, go back to your plan, and you're ready to go. So let's talk about a few other things that are in the basic template. One thing you want to note is the Release Notes tab at the bottom here. So if I click on Release Notes, you're going to see in descending order all the releases that I've made going back to June of 2017. And it's going to talk about all the different functionality that exists, and I entered at different points in time, or corrections I made, etc. And I'll continue to maintain this going forward, but for the purposes of this set of videos, we're starting at 7.1, and I'm going to review all this functionality anyway in this set of videos. So that's of Release Notes. I've also maintained a backlog, and the backlog is stuff that people have asked me to do, or things that I've thought of that I want to add, and what versions I enabled that functionality in. If there's a blank in the released in version, that means it's still on my kind of list of things that I want to do. So that's the backlog. The next thing we're going to talk about, if we go back to our project plan, are hidden rows and columns. The spreadsheet, or the functionality in the spreadsheet, is really driven by a couple things. One, the scripts that we just enabled, but also a series of hidden functions. So you'll notice that there's some hidden lines here, like line 6. And I'm going to unhide it for a second. And as I scroll across, you can see that there's several formulas in here at different points that apply all the way down the spreadsheet and across. Hide that back. We also have row 1's hidden. And you generally don't want to touch these things. I just want you to know they exist. So again, we have stuff here that indicates if a day is a weekend or a holiday, etc. Let's hide that. And then we have columns A through G. And they also have a series of formulas and functionality that helps drive the rest of the spreadsheet. So we're going to hide those. Again, you generally do not want to touch those. Okay. Another thing you don't want to do is we have a bunch of columns, so H, I, J, P, and R. These all have blue backgrounds, and also on the Action Items tab you'll see some as well in column D and column A. The blue columns are calculated automatically for you. You don't want to be entering data in there. If you do, it'll cause the rest of the spreadsheet to fail in some cases. So for example, if I go here and enter something, notice what it did. It just caused everything in the spreadsheet to fail. So I'm going to choose undo and recover that real quick. And you can see we recovered the spreadsheet. So don't enter data in the blue columns if you could avoid it. I already showed you some of the calculations that exist. So if you look in column R, column P, we have a lot of calculations. Okay? If you happen to start using the spreadsheet and you forgot to you forgot to turn on the scripts, you may have inserted lines where the formulas no longer exists. So let's say, for example, I'm just going to erase the formula in this one cell. Okay? And now, notice I no longer have the value that was in that cell, just like these are calculating. So that's simulating, let's say the spreadsheet got messed up because I forgot to enable the scripts. Once I do enable the scripts, I can go back in and we added a little function here to fix the formulas. I'm going to choose that. And it's going to run the script. It's also going to give me a warning about the end column, because there's some functionality we're going to learn about later that may override some of the formulas in the end column. So it wants to really make sure I want to fix the formulas in that column as well. And I do. Let's hit yes right now. And notice what it does. The cell that was missing the formula is now fixed. So that's important to note, just in case you run into problems. I've had a lot of questions about that. That's why I added the feature in there, and it's there. All right. The next step, and the last step in this particular introduction video, is how to prepare the sheet for your first use. So what you want to do is you want to either start with the blank template that I'm going to make available to you in the same directory as this template, Or you want to simply erase the data in the white cells. So I'm going to highlight these white cells, hit delete. I'm going to take all the duration cells, delete that, and the percent complete. Let's delete all the data in that. And the last thing, I have a couple cells here that had comments. I'll talk about this functionality later, but I'll just delete that row so I don't have that hanging around. And I think that's about it. Now we are ready to go. We have one hidden row that was when we collapsed something earlier today. I'm going to unhide it. And that's it. We now have a template that is ready to go, ready for you to enter data. In the subsequent videos, we're going to start entering data, and we're going to learn about all the other functionality. Stay tuned and enjoy the rest of the videos. Thank you.